Welcome back to Westerospective, where we bring you Game of Thrones, the old seasons, and the new. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
And if this is your first time joining us, what we're doing with this show is we're actually going back to the very beginning of Game of Thrones and having a brand new revisit where we know all the things we do know now from the current seasons. So please, for the love of God, if you are not caught up with Game of Thrones, please be wary of spoilers because we're going to be talking about everything.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. We were reformatting this show a little bit. I was continuing what I've been doing with the new season as far as providing detailed notes for pretty much the entirety of the episode.
Which is fucking crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was starting to get a little bit burned out on it just because we've been doing this now for, 3 or 4 months straight.
Yeah.
It starts to kind of become a grind. So we're going to be... probably playing these a little bit quicker now. We're aiming for quicker episodes. So, yeah. With that, we are talking about Season 1, Episode 5, The Wolf and the Lion. And just real quickly, probably the turning point for the whole series is this one.
Yes, that's when shit starts coming together. Plot lines that you've been following, threads you've been following, all start finally leading somewhere. And it's a very well done episode. Not that Game of Thrones ever has bad episodes, but this one was a very good episode.
It's also probably the most action-packed episode you get until Blackwater Bay. Because in Season 2, they really grind it back into the political drama for a while.
Yeah.
And it's not until you start getting later on with Blackwater Bay and stuff like that where you start getting just balls-to-the-wall action. But yeah, there's quite a few badass fights.
Blackwater Bay. I think I saw a few shows there in Vegas.
Right. The episode starts off at the jousting match, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, the very first thing they show is Ned actually at the with the squire.
Yes.
He's with
Barristan.
Sir Barristan. They are examining the corpse of the squire who, quote unquote, just happened to die so fucking conveniently.
Ned has a line here that I really like. Barristan said, "Bad luck for him going up against the mountain." And Ned says, "Who determines the draw?" And Barristan said, all the knights draw straws. And Ned said, "Aye, but who holds the straws?"
Yeah, very, very good stuff.
Yeah, since he's been, tinfoil hat mode since he got to King's Landing.
I really, really like their back and forth, too, about how he's talking about Sir Barristan, my wife, a widow, wouldn't have suited her because I would have got my ass kicked if I'd fought you.
Yeah, and then Barristan's like, "Oh, no, I've seen you cut down many knights." And so, yeah. No, they have some good back and forth. This scene, though, with him and Barristan, it kind of highlights something better I think they were going for this whole time, but I don't think it really shined until this scene. Probably because it's just two actors on screen and it's the two actors that it is. But if you pay attention to the dialogue, Barristan is answering Ned's questions because Ned outranks him. But you can tell that he clearly doesn't give a shit about whatever it is Ned's going for because he just immediately cuts into something else, like about King Robert or anything else, and then Ned will cut back into another question, and he'll answer it and immediately cut back to Robert jousting or something like that. And he just doesn't give two shits about what Ned is doing.
He might also be trying to help him because he's Barristan's smart enough to know that when you start asking questions like that, shit usually isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with the people he's dealing with. So yeah, because there's clearly a level of respect between them because they established that with them talking about each other's fighting prowess and stuff. Yeah. Very, very cool scene though.
But yeah, mate, I just love how people keep basically more or less blowing off Ned.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty much CSI King's Landing for the last few episodes. Then they actually transition over to the jousting match.
Actually, they go to the tent where another one of my favorite quotes of probably the series is, it's Ned and Robert and Lancel. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, he's setting up the armor for him. Yeah.
Yeah, she's putting the armor on him, and Ned's like, "You're too fat for your armor." And he's like, "Fat, is it? Is that how you speak to your king?" And then they start laughing. And then when Lancel starts laughing, he turns to him and he's like, "That was funny, is it?" And then he's like, "No." And he's like, "No, you don't like the hands joke?"
Yeah.
I just love that whole dialogue.
And then my favorite thing is when he sends him for the breastplate spreader. And he's just like, how long until he realizes it?
And he's like, maybe he should have one invented.
I fucking love Mark Addy, dude. He is probably my favorite king in anything ever. He's so awesome.
They work so well together on screen. I feel like they're best friends in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also love is Mark Addy's laugh in this role. Like,
yes.
Every time he laughs, I can't help but crack up with him because this is gold.
I love him walking out of the tent, and then Ned's like, "Robert," and he's like, "What?" And he just kind of gestures towards his stomach since he's not wearing anything. And he's like, "Oh, a sight to behold," or whatever he says.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Fucking love Mark Addy. He needs to be in more stuff.
But yeah, then we go to the jousting match.
The first thing I noticed is like, man, they have some cool armor sets.
Yes, I had forgotten that.
That one that Iron Fist is wearing could straight up be from like Dark Souls. It's so stylized. It's really, really slick.
Yeah, I saw that and it kind of blew me away. And then Mountain, I forgot how much like Iron Golem he looks like. Speaking of Dark Souls.
Yeah. Then they have the jousting match, and man, how cool is it when Mountain loses and he goes berserk after Iron Fist, and you get the first glimpse of the Hound fighting the Mountain Man. Like,
yes.
That is like one of the most things I'm most anticipating is when they eventually have like their final
when they
showdown.
settle that.
Yeah. Man, if they do the thing I was telling you about off camera the other day about how like how much poetic justice there would be if, since he's with the Brotherhood with the flaming swords, if he ended up taking him down with the flaming swords, like
metal, the Brotherhood of the Flaming Swords.
Yeah.
There was something that I never actually caught in this before. Right after Littlefinger has that pretty boss line of, "And tell me, Lord Renly, when will you be having your friend?" When he sits down with the Stark family. I've never even heard him say this line before, but he said that Loras knew his mare was in heat, quite crafty, really. And Sansa said, "No, Loras would never do that. There's no honor in tricks." Because I always caught the no honor, but quite a bit of gold, but I never caught the other line.
Oh, yeah. Well, it had been so long since I had seen it, I'd completely forgotten about it. But
yeah, that was my first time ever hearing that line, I think.
I didn't catch it the first couple of viewings, though, about how he knew that he was having a relationship with is it Loras? Is that Iron Fist's name? I'm just gonna call him Iron Fist, because I want to call him Iron Fist.
Well, I'm sure he does Iron Fist Renly, but
oh, you just had to go there.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did.
His Renly's reaction though when he calls him out in front of everyone, like he's just like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. When will you be having your friend?
Dude, that special effect of the horse being
beheaded,
fucked up. Oh my god,
the sound. One of your favorite things about the show, Jeff? The sound of it.
Oh my god, it's brutal. Fucked up. Was there anything else you wanted to add with that portion?
No. I think after that we jumped to Catelyn and Tyrion on the road, right?
On the Hound thing, I really, really did like though how they end the fight
when he kneels.
And like he gets fucking close to being beheaded himself, but he kneels immediately once. It's like, I don't know. It's like the Hound is like one of like, I mean, the whole show is gray characters, but the Hound is one of the best gray characters to me. I've always really liked what they've done with him, especially now. Like, it's really, really cool. Also,
I didn't notice the first couple times that I viewed this episode. Like a lot of the characters to me are gray. Like they seem like a villain until all of a sudden it switches to their side, and then you're like, well, fuck, was the other person the villain? And like there's not really a villain. Everybody's just kind of out for themselves. The Hound was one of the few to me that always just kind of seemed like bad, but now that knowing what I know about him now, and then I'd forgotten that he jumped down there to Loras's defense and told him, he was shouting like "leave him be" and stuff.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about all of that drama. I had even forgotten that he challenged the Mountain at that. Oh, point.
Really? Yeah. Well, that was one of the things I've always been looking forward to the rematch for so long. It's like, it's a really cool fight too, especially for Game of Thrones. They typically do not do drawn out fight scenes like that.
Right.
Yeah, they've been doing it a little bit more often in the newer seasons, but especially the first couple of seasons, it is very, down to earth political drama.
Well, tensions are high now in the later seasons because of all the political stuff leading up to it.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
Where is it that go next in the episode?
I'm pretty sure it's Catelyn and Tyrion on the road.
Which, by the way, how fucking stupid does Catelyn have to be doing this? 3/4 her family is in King's Landing, surrounded by nothing but fucking Lannisters, and she's going after Tyrion off of bullshit evidence that she should know better, that it's too easy.
Yeah.
So I love Catelyn; she's a good character, but goddamn, she is in over her head in this situation.
Yeah. I loved when he was like, "What sort of imbecile arms an assassin with his own blade?" And Roderick says, "Should I gag him?" And Tyrion says, "Why? Am I starting to make sense?"
Yeah.
Like that was I fucking love every scene with Tyrion, dude.
It's all gold. And I also in particular love the beginning of the Bran and Tyrion bromance.
Yes.
Like there's a couple
always need a woman after a battle.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes. There's a specific quote later on like where I forget. Is it? Yeah, it's towards the end when they're going back, and Bran actually starts talking about Tyrion too. It's really, really cool, like seeing them develop because, like, that's one of my favorite dynamics of the show has always been Tyrion and Bran. I love them.
Yes. I forgot to mention last episode. Actually, speaking of Roderick, man at arms, more or less. Do you remember the end of the episode when Catelyn has Tyrion seized, but leading up to that, the like minstrel musician guy sits down at the table and he's like, "Can I sing you a song?" And Roderick's like, "I'd rather throw myself down a well." That's like the one line I've ever cared about from Roderick. I mean, he's a cool character, but
he only really ends up having like a grand total of maybe 10 lines, so like, they had to give him something good to work with.
I'd rather throw myself down a well. And then that same minstrel's traveling with them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe he is. That's another action scene they have in this episode. Is that little
they get jumped on the road.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you also like more good Dinklage acting is when he is viciously having to kill the guy by stabbing him in the face with the edge of the shield. And then they make a point of like how it's his first kill, and he looks visibly shaken by it.
Not only that, I like how... Think about the Lannisters you've seen so far. Like Cersei, Jaime, and Tyrion, right? Then there's like Joffrey and Lancel. But the big three. Cersei, clearly out for just whatever she wants and only what she wants. Jaime... kind of the same way, but not extreme. Like, he loves his sister, and it's more than sister-brother love, but, whatever she wants, he'll do, and that satisfies him, so, his own means to an end. Tyrion is set up kind of that way, but the defining moment that you get that separates Tyrion from everyone is when he's looking at Catelyn in danger and then the horse. And Catelyn in danger and the horse. Catelyn is accusing him of crimes he didn't commit. He's very likely going to die for these crimes he didn't commit if he stays with her, and he elects to go save her. Like it would have been unnecessary for Jaime, and Cersei would have said, "Fuck you."
I also think it's kind of cool. Like there's some symbolism there of the first time he ever kills someone is not with a weapon; it's with a shield.
Yes.
It's like Tyrion, because he's always in the fucking wrong place at the wrong time, it seems. It's like he is because he's a good person, but he's basically like, in a way, he's kind of like Ned in that he does have good intentions. It's just the edge he has over Ned is he actually knows how to go about not getting.
He knows how to play the
murdered.
game, basically.
Yeah.
The way I've always kind of seen Tyrion is he's a good person, but he doesn't believe that he is a good person. So he acts the way he does and says the things that he does. But when, push comes to shove or shield comes to brain, he actually is a good person. And knowing what I know now, I can see a lot of this stuff more clearly going back.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah. I think from there we go to Bran and his lessons, right?
Yeah, which more backstory they're giving, it's very subtle, but you actually get a lot of information, via this little lesson he's getting. Like, you're getting a lot of background on the Greyjoys.
And your first viewing, it goes straight over your head.
Yeah. A lot of that in this episode, too. Man, I always liked the guy who played the Maester, too. He's a cool character.
Yeah, President Time Lord Maester douchebag.
Yeah. Man, he's such a prick in Doctor Who, but he's so lovable in Game of Thrones.
I'm so confused.
More solid acting by Bran, goddammit.
I know.
That scene, he is he's frustrated because he knows that he can't be what he wanted to be. Was it the very, very first time you see him? Yeah, the very first time you ever meet him is he's shooting the bow, and that was always kind of like his thing, is he wanted to.
And every time he has the vision, it starts with him with the bow. Yeah,
he looks visibly frustrated. He starts being sarcastic, kind of dicking around with the Maester,
and what a dick move that the kid likes archery, so you set him down in front of the archery area to do his lessons.
Where Theon is really good at it and he's crushing it. Yeah.
He's like fucking Robin Hood over there shooting arrows. Yeah.
Theon had a good line too where he's talking about I forget the exact quote, but the Maester quizzes him on what are the mottos and everything of the Greyjoys, and he starts talking the last thing he says is and laying with women.
Yeah, and love making, and then he basically retorts with something and failed rebellions.
Yes, yeah, that was really, really, really good.
Yeah, I put him in his fucking place. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Theon is kind of a lovable douchebag at this point.
And that's going to end sooner rather than later.
Let's see. We go... I guess we go from there to Theon and Roz in the bedroom. And then... I don't know, was there really anything of substance in that scene?
I also did really notice after we've gone back, they really have toned down the sex scenes over the last couple of seasons.
Yes.
In the first season and the second season, I'm sure I'm kind of half remembering it though, but especially what we watched so far of the first season, it's you can't go 10 minutes without boobs in the early parts of Game of Thrones.
It's HBO. They got to make sure they keep your attention.
Yeah.
They know their market, Jeff.
I guess it was one of those things where it's I guess they got tired of people complaining about it, so fine, no more boobs, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is a lot more graphic. My wife seems to be handling that well. She usually doesn't handle that too well. But I did tell her that they do tone it down, though. But I do agree with you. It's worse than I remembered.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
it's more.
I did tell her. Just wait till Roz gets to King's Landing.
Oh God!
Because isn't her interview when she's having to make out with the other girl and do everything with the other girl in front of Littlefinger?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, just wait till she gets to King's Landing. I ain't seen nothing yet. And she's just kind of oh God.
Yeah, it's brutal. But let's see, where do they go from there?
I think it's Theon and Roz in the bedroom, and then I think from there it's Ned and Varys.
Yeah, really, really good Varys stuff in this episode, I will say.
Yes.
You pretty much, we were not going to, but you could almost quote just about anything Varys says in this episode. I really like the image that they when they pan in on the scene where it's later on where it's Varys, or it's Varys and Littlefinger. I like the shot, the way it was filmed, where Littlefinger's by himself in the throne room just looking at it.
Yeah.
I really like that shot. And then, of course, every single fucking conversation Littlefinger and Varys have ever had together is gold.
Dude, one of my all-time favorite scenes is after the Ned and Varys scene, where it's Littlefinger standing in the throne room, like staring up at the throne, and Varys comes in, and that dialogue that they have, that entire dialogue, is one of my favorite scenes of the entire show. It's just amazing. It's one snake talking to another snake, or actually he refers to himself as a spider. But yeah,
let's see. The next scene is. So was this the scene where it was? You said it was Ned and Varys talking.
Yes,
it's pretty much where Varys trusts him by now, where he's now warning him basically.
About
Here's the other
doom.
thing too. How many times throughout this episode do they just flat out say either is Ned going to die or someone tells him you're going to die? It's like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And then it's like you don't really register it the very first time you're seeing it if you don't know that character dies. Because like, oh, he's the first guy in the cast. Surely nothing's going to happen to him.
Did the other characters just say that Sean Bean was going to die?
I know. It's never happened. I mean, that's like...
Have I ever seen that before?
That's like saying Flashpoint's going to happen in Flash. That's just dog shit.
Yeah. No, knowing what does happen later, I was like, man, they did not bury the lead with that.
They really didn't.
Because like you said, I think they say it like 4 times. One of them, Arya hears while hiding inside a dragon skull. I wish I could hide inside of a dragon skull, Jeff.
That's same.
Pretty awesome. But yeah, after that is the throne room intellectual battle, I guess, between Littlefinger and Varys. And they're basically just like, I spy, you spy, you spy. And then Renly kind of interrupts it. But, oh my god.
So Littlefinger's been starting to pop up in other stuff. The Varys actor needs to start being in more stuff, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to figure out who I would want to see him as in DC or MCU. I'm thinking one of the Netflix shows for Marvel, but I just don't know what.
Let's make him Mysterio for Spider-Man. Just
fuck yes.
Yeah.
Fuck yes. Damn, I've been thinking about that, and you just popped it out in 5 minutes. I hate you. But yeah, we could do an entire podcast just on the dialogue in this scene. I don't know. Was there anything in particular you wanted to quote? Because when I went to highlight this, I highlighted everything they said. So,
I didn't have any particular quotes, no, just because everything is fucking fantastic.
I did love tell me, does someone somewhere keep your balls in a little box? I've often wondered. You know, I had no idea where they are, and we'd been so close. But enough about me. Have you been since the last time we saw each other? Then they start going back and forth about when the last time they saw each other was. And then he's like, you know, the last time I saw you, you're talking to the hand of the king. And Littlefinger's like, saw me with your own eyes? And he's like, eyes I own. And the way he punctuates that line when he says it.
It's like intellectual dueling banjos when they talk to each other.
It's like the devil went down to King's Landing and they're playing their fiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have that song in my head now.
You can have a lot worse stuck in your head. That's all the song.
But especially the Muppet video version of it.
Yes.
So there we go to Arya, like,
overhearing Varys and them.
Yeah. The thing I'm looking at. Okay, I guess I skipped something because after Ned and Varys is when she is inside the Dragon Skull listening to the bad guy in Speed Racer talk to Varys, and they're talking there, but after the throne room scene is when she is trying to get back into town, and the guy's like, no begging, and she just eventually puts the guy in his fucking place, and it's glorious.
Yeah. Maisie Williams was already badass as like a 9-year-old.
I can't believe she was already Arya this early on in the show.
Maisie Williams is more badass at age 9 than I'll ever be in my entire life.
And I really loved when she's standing in front of her dad, and he's like, where did you hear all this? And she's like, in the dungeons. What were you doing in the dungeons? Chasing a cat? Like,
He's just like fucking figures.
Like fucking Sirio. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get any Sirio in this episode again, right? He just kind of alluded to.
Yeah, there was actually a lot less Sirio that I remembered.
See,
I guess it's because he's so awesome.
I was going to say, that's just how awesome that character was and that actor was, because I remember him being like throughout the whole fucking season, but apparently it's like 2 scenes.
Same here, and it's just wasn't the case. It's like, that's impressive. He was able to make such an impression that you thought he was a bigger part of the show than he really was.
Yeah. So, I think that's the point when Jory comes in, and then they talk about the no good that Catelyn's up to.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of cuts off from there, I think, and then that's when it goes back to Tyrion and Catelyn. This is one of the most disturbing scenes in the season, if not the show, dude. That fucking kid.
Oh, the most disturbing thing I think I've ever seen in the show, just that weirds me out, is the breastfeeding.
Yeah.
It's so fucking disturbing. I mean, and it's supposed to be that way. It was very effective, but something about, and like, the kid is so creepy. It was kind of a brilliant performance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
also by the mom too. She is like just out of her fucking mind, and she's very good.
Yes. Yeah, it's not the breastfeeding itself. It's the fact that it's like a 9-year-old kid.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it just in front of the entire Vale and just on the throne, like matter of factly. It's just weird. That whole scene is just disturbing.
How money is Dinklage's expression as he's just like, is anyone else seeing this? Because I'm seeing this.
I like how, what is it, like early on in the scene, he just gives Catelyn this look like, I fucking told you. And then as their conversation goes on, eventually Catelyn looks down at him like, my God, he's fucking right. So the more she talks to her sister, the more she realizes how crazy she is.
And it's kind of a running theme how, like, you know, we talked earlier in the last couple of episodes, both Tyrion and Jaime both called Theon being what he is.
Yeah.
The Lannisters know the people who are supposed to be close to the Starks better than the Starks do.
Yeah.
It's like this show is like the ultimate case of, like, you know, keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. Like, they're more plugged in than the fucking Starks are.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I have fond memories of the scenes of Tyrion here, especially with the Bran fight later, but that fucking kid on that throne when he's almost old enough to have kids himself breastfeeding. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like their house motto might as well have been changed to just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, dude, this is fucked up.
And then she's just fucking nuts. Yeah. It's
now you know why Jon Arryn left and went and got poisoned, because that's what he was dealing with.
Yeah. Let's see. I was looking. The thing I'm looking at. I was looking for a quote. Bran had a quote.
Is it give me 10 men and climbing poles and I'll impregnate the bitch?
I'll impregnate the bitch, and he's like, I like you.
That was the one I was talking about earlier. Like, man, I love the Tyrion Bran bromance, man.
Yes. So you would 10 good men, some climbing pikes. I'll impregnate the bitch. I like you. Oh, dude, I am so going to enjoy their journey back home. I have fucking missed Bran. He's showing up so little in the current seasons. He's one of my favorite characters.
Well, you're going to be getting more of him in Black Mirror, man. Cannot fucking wait for that.
Wait. Let's talk about the discussion the small council has to murder like a 16-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl, whatever she's supposed to be.
if now I know it's probably understood to be changed a little bit for the show. In the context of the original story in the book, though, she's like 13.
I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine that's not far off.
It's just
that's
crazy.
The way it was in real life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's very, very disturbing. What's kind of fucked up about it is when you think about it, Robert was right, because what is happening right now,
dude, on the King's Road, he laid out the entire show up to now.
And then we're gonna get to the discussion he has with Cersei towards the end of the episode. Like, he was fucking on point. Like, he got some of the names wrong, but the actions and events he pretty much called.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, then obviously Ned gives up being the hand. Robert gets crazy pissed. And, man, Mark Addy, man. He's real good because you can tell it pains him because that's basically his brother.
Yes.
That is turning on him. So he genuinely looks betrayed in that whole scene.
In fact, there's a line about that in the next episode.
Really?
About what you just said, yeah. I think he says, because me and my wife are watching ahead because she's getting into it. And I think he said something like, it's a terrible thing for a man to admit, but I never loved my brothers. You were the brother I chose, is what he says to Ned.
Yeah.
I don't even have that written down, and that's like burned in my head. But Littlefinger has a fucking awesome line. They're all saying all these metaphors and everything for why it should be good to kill this girl. And his metaphor was, when you find yourself in bed with an ugly woman, best close your eyes and get it over with.
And then I think they cut over to Varys, and Varys is just like, God damn it, Littlefinger.
I love that so much. Yeah. Way to make the room awkward.
Yeah.
But
From there, do they go to the Iron Fist and Renly discussion?
I believe so.
That might be the first time in that scene where they name drop Stannis. I don't know if you noticed that. The name.
I think it may have been a little bit earlier in the episode, but yeah, it is this episode. I think it's the first time you hear his name. It kind of blew my brain.
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing when you're just watching the show for the first time, but
yeah,
you're like, holy shit, they just talked about Stannis. That's like...
Yeah. I'm getting lost in the thing I'm looking at here. That's trying to give us... Yeah, it's so short, but yeah, here's... I think that is when we cut back to them... and fucking Iron Fist is shaving him.
Dude, he went all out too. He is actually, if you like look at it, letting him shave him like in real life. I was like, Jesus, this look kind of committed, man. Like, Jesus.
I know it's such an easy, small joke, but I have laughed every single time I've watched this episode. I think it's the speed at which they respond to it. But as soon as he puts his arm up in the air, like his arm is still in the process of going up when he's like, everywhere. And he goes, everywhere. Like, I don't know why, but I've laughed at that every time I've seen this episode.
Finn Jones is a good actor. I'm really interested to see what he does as a lead character in Iron Fist.
In Iron Fist, yeah. But at some point, we get back to the Eyrie. Is that what it's called?
The Eyrie.
Eyrie?
Yeah.
I guess it would be really airy in there since they have no fucking walls in their prison cells or anything.
Yeah, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, fuck that. But I love when she's like, he killed your father and he murdered the hand of the king. Oh, did I kill him too? I've been a very busy man. Everything Tyrion says, you can just write down.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh man, but yeah, that is when they take him down to the prison cell, I think, for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's the last time you see him for the episode. Is they reveal like just how fucked up the prison cell is.
Yeah.
They're encouraging you to not be a problem for them anymore. It's really dark and subtly dark.
Yeah, it's... fuck that. There's not even any way to like climb your way out of that or anything either. It's just sheer vertical drop.
Yeah. I think after that, all we have left is the very last scene in the Cersei and Robert discussion, right?
Yeah, Cersei and Robert, and then Jaime and Ned.
Okay, yeah, let's talk the Cersei and Robert. Man, like, this scene is really emotionally affecting to me because, like, when you think about it, like, arranged marriages are, you know, like, we think of it more of kind of like a fictional thing, but they're still pretty prevalent around the world.
Yes,
and
they
like
are.
Their story, Robert and Cersei in the scene, like, the acting's brilliant because you really feel like they have a history of just this awful marriage that neither of them wanted, but they just accepted for political reasons. And it's kind of a devastating scene. Like, they're talking about 17 years of their lives just kind of wasted away off of a whim, you know, because their families kind of wanted their other family's power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really dark and really, really well acted.
Yeah. And then they have that one kind of dark joke with each other when it's like, what holds it all together or whatever in our marriage, and then they both just bust out laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize until going back just how often they talk about Lyanna.
Yes.
Which means nothing to you the first viewing, but when you know what they're talking about, it has a lot more impact.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good scene with Cersei and Robert. And the next episode, they have a really good and terrible scene together also.
There's also foreshadowing in his lines because he says, "You've never asked me about Lyanna before. Why now?"
Yes.
And you're just like, "Mark, how do you know I love you? Don't go hunting that day." Yeah, do you want to talk about the ending fight now?
Yes. Basically, Ned is back at the brothel with Littlefinger, which Littlefinger makes a point that he thinks brothels are a much better investment than a ship because whores rarely sink. But it's here that you meet another of Jon Arryn's bastards, not Jon Arryn's bastards, one of Robert's bastards that Jon Arryn had found. And they talk about that, and Jon Arryn had apparently tracked them all down. There's a lot more comedy in season 1 than I remember in Game of Thrones also, because when Ned's leaving, what's his name, Jory?
Yeah.
He can't take his eyes off the girl in front of him. Yeah.
It's like, Jory.
Yes, my lord. Yeah. But when he goes outside, he's immediately jumped by Jaime Lannister and a bunch of other Lannisters. And Littlefinger, actually, I vaguely remember him in that scene, but he kind of comes out like, "What the hell are you doing in my house, Lannister?" Like,
yeah, pretty much. He actually leaves to go, and he says he's going to go call like the knights, the town guard type of thing.
yes.
One other thing we didn't mention that happened earlier on in the episode that I think is kind of important too. That's kind of like a clue as to Littlefinger's intentions. Ned is actually in the process of packing up and leaving.
Yes.
And it's Littlefinger who slyly talks him into staying, because as soon as he learns that Ned is packing up and ready to get the fuck out of there, he's like, "Oh, if you stick around for just a few more hours, in just 1 hour, I can go and show you the other bastard."
Yes.
So Ned and Arya and Sansa would be gone if not for Littlefinger getting him to stay.
He just couldn't say no to his curiosity.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead. What you were saying about the when they exit.
So, he goes off after the city guard, like he says, or at least we assume he is, and Jaime is sending he wants to know where his brother is, and And he says that his wife has him on his own orders because he's like defending his wife's actions that he just found out about a couple of hours before.
Yeah, that was a bad move.
Yeah, that was a bad move. So anyways, unfortunately, that cost him his men that were with him, including Jory.
Oh,
Jamie
dude, the way Jory
brutally kills him.
The way Jory goes out is fucked up, man.
Yes, it is.
It's like you see that like because Jamie like, and he's just like if you look at Jamie like the look on his face, he's just fucking with Jory. Like it's not even a contest. Just how easily because like Jory was like Ned's like right hand man. Dude's got to be a great fighter.
Yeah, and
then just Jamie just makes him look like nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of like us versus bosses in Dark Souls. Yeah, so then Jamie and fucking Ned had their showdown that was teased in what, the first episode?
Yeah, one of the very, very first times you see Jamie is actually set up for the fight.
Yeah, and it's a pretty cool fight, and you just saw, like you said, Jamie take down Jory like he was nothing, and Ned and him are pretty evenly matched. Even
could have gone either way.
The age difference and everything. And then that one douchebag runs a spear through his fucking leg, which pisses off Jamie, by the way.
One of my favorite scenes from season 1 is Jamie being visibly irritated by like having his one actual like piece of combat that was, you know, a good challenge for him being ruined, and just how dishonorable it was, and him just cold cock that guy. One of my favorite Jamie moments, I think.
I was gonna say Jamie's a lot of things, but that was supposed to be a good, honorable fight between two lords or a knight and a lord or whatever, and that guy fucked it up. He's lucky he got the blunt end of the blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant fight. Very, very well choreographed.
And especially for season 1, since we know what's coming, when we get the bigger budget and we get better crews and teams in, it was a pretty good fight. I know how it's going to end. I'm still on the edge of my seat because I don't really remember how it goes, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. That episode's a roller coaster, Jeff.
Yeah, it's funny. It is devastating when you know what all is being foreshadowed. Parts of it are kind of heartbreaking, like just really, really good character stuff. You get the most Varys and Littlefinger you've gotten so far. It is the turning point for season 1, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, and like the cherry on top of when I really, really loved the show was the Golden Crown we're gonna get to next week. But this was like when the show it looks like the one that hooked your wife too. Like the way that kind of progresses, you said she couldn't wait to watch the next episode, right?
Yeah. We'll probably be watching 2 or 3 a week at this point. We're going to have to speed this podcast up, my friend. I'm not going to remember anything when we get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have anything else we missed on the episode?
I'm looking at this thing online with quotes, and next time someone asks me if I'm threatening them, I'm going to say threaten, as in I'm going to open you from balls to brains and see what Starks are made out of. See what you're made out of.
It's so money, dude. So metal.
Oh, no. Very Jamie.
Game of Thrones does shit talk better than anyone.
It really does. It's dialogue the show, and it's compelling every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you would like to check us out more, we, in addition to our Game of Thrones stuff, we also do a weekly news podcast. We also do Let's Plays and other stuff. If you like, subscribe, it gets you all of our content. If you're curious, we do have Facebook and Twitter links in the description below. Most importantly, if you know anyone else that might also enjoy our content, we would greatly appreciate the share. For this night and all the nights to come, I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron, and now this watch has ended.